Welcome back, students, for another episode of DC Graduates. It's a very special two-part episode as we talk about DC's brand new series, which is Batman the Caped Crusader from Bad Robot Studios, Warner Brother Animation. As always, we'll get into it more, but special thing we're doing, we wanted to tackle our first series, especially it's in the zeitgeist. You know, we're trying to be leaping and bounding with like all the YouTubers and trying to be all cool and hip and talk about new stuff, not just old stuff. Sly, how are you though?
Yeah, 1 second. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is DC Grads After Dark episode,
Mm-hmm.
and we're drinking. So, it'll be a fun one. Let's get
Oh
into
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. These next few episodes are gonna be fun. Wait till we even if these hits drink while we're in episode 8. Woo! My God. That's gonna be a 2-hour podcast in itself. in itself. But yeah, we're talking about as I mentioned, Batman Caped Crusader, which just came out beginning of August, I believe, right? I think that's
Recently? Sometime, yeah.
Here's
I don't
the
know.
dichotomy.
Whenever Mario yelled at us to watch this.
That's true. Here's the dichotomy of like Point of Progress, Amazon, right? Because you typically, we are Fanology ambassadors, right? They had nothing to do with this. It's a DC show that happens to be on Amazon. We didn't stream anything special, and this is how you could tell. We still want to work with you guys, so please work with us. We have that secret labs or whatever that secret room show about to start in December. Let's do something, guys. Let's talk. Let's come on, Bubba. Let's do this. But specifically for this, yeah, don't blame us. We really as soon as Mario yelled at us, we were like, yeah, we should probably watch it.
Fine, okay, we'll watch it.
I guess, yeah. We'll also do the other DC property that I picked up by Amazon, probably closer to Christmas time as a special Christmas episode. But for now, we're talking about the Caped Crusader, which, I mean, this is kind of like a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, which we've talked a lot. This past whole season 1 was like the Dini-verse, and we're kind of back. We're kind of back with some Bruce Timm. So what's your history with this show? Because it's been around in limbo for a very long time. I don't know if you remember some of the production stuff.
I don't. My history with this show is Mario said, "Hey, you're gonna watch this, right?" And then Mario said, "Hey, you guys are gonna do an episode on this show, right? Hey, you should do an episode on this." And I was like, "We said movies, so we are not covering the TV shows." And then Mario was like, "No, really, trust me." Like, so we watched it. And yeah, no, I watched a couple episodes. Couple days ago, couple episodes this morning, couple episodes like 2 hours ago. It's fine. I didn't procrastinate. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, listen, I didn't procrastinate at all and didn't start watching episodes 1 through 5, which we're covering in this first episode, at 10 o'clock at night till 1 o'clock in the morning. And then proceeded at work to watch episodes 6 through 10 and then write notes and then be like, oh shit, I gotta do my job. I actually have work to do.
Just a little bit.
And then be like, hey, Sly, can we record later? Because I got a Phillies game to go to because I got free tickets. Yeah, no, today's been crazy.
I respect getting free tickets to a game. That always takes priority. But we're here.
That's true.
We're having fun. It'll be a
doing
great show.
Hell yeah. So, at least for me, I do remember, it wasn't until I read some notes, but it clicked for me. There was like this backdoor-esque pilot. It was filmed a while ago with Kevin Conroy voicing Batman. And it was like a pseudo, which is his, at the time at least, short that they did, I think around one of the big anniversaries for Batman, maybe the 85th anniversary. And it might have been just on YouTube and stuff. Like, there's a couple of shorts that they did around that time, but JJ and all did it. And they knew apparently, according to the notes, they knew that this was going to be a pilot, basically. And as long as people liked it, they were going to just push through with it. They did. Things happen. Warner Brothers, as we always say, is not what they used to be, especially with Max. This was supposed to premiere on Max, I believe either last year or earlier this year, and then it got shelved when Zaslav took over. Fuck you, David Zaslav. We can't even get away from him. This is not even the same. It's not even on Max.
I opened Max tried to search for this for like 2 minutes and then Googled and went, oh shit, that's right. It's on Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime, so I can buy my toiletries, phones, and video games, and all this other stuff, and also watch the series.
But hey, we watched it completely legally this time.
Yeah, with ads, unfortunately.
With ads, yeah. Me
Yeah.
too.
Um, but yeah, I remember it kind of launching. And pre-show, I know we were kind of joking. I at least was joking around about J.J. Abrams' involvement in superhero properties. There was an infamous Superman flyby, which he wrote, and I just kind of bemoaning before we started, where there was like karate, and for some reason, all the Kryptonians knew martial arts, and Krypton never blew up, and
Why not?
Kal-El's a prince, and Henry Cavill's gonna pay him at the time. The suit looks badass, by the way. If you ever look it up, fucking cool ass suit. Robert Downey Jr. is gonna play Lex Luthor, probably a really good choice. But then he was gonna be a Kryptonian at the end of the movie, and he was a CIA agent. Listen, JJ sometimes really cool, other times not so much.
Mhm.
And we're not talking about friend of the show JJ.
Each
We're talking about JJ.
benefits benefits from a strong editor, I think, is the point of this.
Yup. Good editor, less lens flare, and every once in a while when he's right, someone just smack his hand and be like, nope, nope, too much, too much, bad JJ. Michael Bay needs that too, by the way. He needs that
Fair
a lot
enough.
more than
Oh,
JJ
yeah,
does.
definitely.
Maybe Zack Snyder as well.
My
But
hot take is I love a lens flare. But let's get to what we're actually talking about today.
let's actually talk about what JJ did here, which he's one of the co-creators of the series alongside Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, which is a Bad Robot partner. He's worked on plenty of films as well. And then I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this. Ed Brubaker was one of the producers
Oh, yeah.
getting that fucking DC money after he got shafted by
And
Marvel.
one of the writers.
Yes.
He wrote for a couple episodes.
Yeah, he did. He did write a couple episodes, which you could tell. Like, and I'll spoilers here for all 10 episodes. I think they're all really strong. But when I saw Ed Brubaker's name as writer specifically for that episode, I was like, I think we're in for something special. And that episode did deliver. If many don't know, he wrote for Captain America. He kind of brought Bucky Barnes back. That was like his famous claim to fame. Did he make money from Marvel when the MCU introduced Bucky Barnes? No. Why? They don't pay their people. Come on. If your name's not
Especially
Stan
the
Lee,
comics writers? No.
nah. If your name's Stan Lee, that's the only person. But other than that, and then
He's the only comic book creator.
yeah,
Didn't
there's
you
nobody
know?
else. There's nobody named
else.
Jack
He's the only one.
Kirby, Steve
Never heard
Ditko,
of him.
John Romita, none of these people. They don't exist. I 100% definitely not Neil Gaiman after this past month. You lost Angela as a character now, thanks. But this is not an MCU podcast. Anyway, this is gonna be a shit show.
I have a whole other podcast for that.
That's a whole different one. But that's kind of what it was like in Limbo, as I mentioned. Max dropped it alongside Merry Little Batman, which also premiered on Prime this past Christmas. We'll follow. We'll do that. We'll do a special Christmas episode for that. But it's been kind of like a shit show with Max. Obviously, we talk about it. We bemoan about it every episode. But seriously, they wanted to skew away from youth entertainment. They said like kind of like youth driven kind of media and things like that, which you watch this and there's not really anything kiddie about it. Like this is I mean, it's not like R, right? But it's a rough, like there's a lot of rough things
It's
happening.
no Batman and Harley Quinn.
Oh,
but
no. But yeah,
still
you get
deals
some
with some serious topics.
yeah, and you get the occasional whiskey drink, which looks so good. I don't know why. I wrote that in my notes.
It's always so well animated.
Cartoon whiskey looks delicious. It looks like it doesn't burn. But yeah, I've been really looking forward to watching this, so it was nice. I will, thank Mario, publicly and be like, thanks for making us watch this, because I was really excited to actually I'm forced to sit down to watch this, and it overall enjoyed it. I will say that we'll talk about it more during the episode, but
Yeah.
we'll start here with some of the directed by, for at least the first 5 episodes, Christina Sada, Matt Peters, and Christopher Berkeley. Written by Jace Ricci, Bruce Timm, Greg Rucka, awesome comic book writer. Helped with create Renee Montoya, who's a big fixture in this show. Wrote her first episode. I don't know if you noticed that. The first episode with
Oh
Montoya,
hell
he wrote this, and I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I
see
see.
you. Mhm,
You got right, your girl. Ed
mhm.
Brubaker, Adama, and Adene Ebo.
Never seen these names before in my life. They
I'm so
look really
sorry.
pretty, but I could not tell you how to say them.
And your episodes were phenomenal. I will say that.
They were so
Great.
good. Yeah.
And Haley Gross, who I know of from The Last of
Also a
Us.
very good episode.
Yeah, she killed it, and I love her work in Last of Us too. I know a lot of people, very controversial game, understandably, but I do love her work in that and her work in the Last of Us TV show as well. So I believe she did write an episode for that. Studio Bad Robot is the production company. Warner Brothers Animation is the animated company, and then it was released on Prime, as we mentioned. It stars Hamish Linklater, right? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Linklater, I think.
I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah, from
Yeah.
I have not yet seen it. This is a big horror no for me because I've not yet seen it. But it's Mike Flanagan's show with Rahul Kohli. There's a church involved. Midnight Mass. I know he's in
One of
Midnight
those.
Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Does a great job as Batman and Bruce. I will say that. Jason Watkins, who plays Alfred. Diedrich Bader, who I love, and he plays Two Face in this. Harvey Dent. Michelle Bonilla, who plays Renee Montoya. Crystal Joy Brown, who plays Barbara Gordon. Jamie Chung, who plays Dr. Harleen Quinzel. And Yuri Lowenthal, who just does a bunch of voices, which is great. The second I heard him, I was like, it's Yuri. I know him. It's
I
awesome.
did not recognize him, and I was
Uh,
going through the credits, and I went, "Yuri!"
dude, he's so like versatile. I love
He's
his.
so good. I
And
love
it
him so much. Yeah.
for context for me, I have like this weird like ADHD thing I do when I watch like content that's not DC related. I watch like a certain amount of episodes from this anime. I'm trying to catch up with older stuff. So many episodes of this anime. So I literally before I watched this, watched 3 episodes of Naruto Shippuden and Yuri and Sasuke in that. And then to go right into this, I was like, oh, it's more Yuri. Nice.
Love
Okay.
that.
But yeah, so it's streaming on Prime Video right now. I'm sure Prime's not gonna get rid of it like Max does their stuff. So pretty good to watch it right now. And there's a little buy Batman stuff on the bottom if you really love it. Check it out. Sly, hit us with the plot recap.
Cool, great. I actually have a plot recap for this episode. The next one, you'll see what it is. Uh, this is the plot recap for the entire show because I wasn't gonna pull 5 individual recaps. It reads: After a family tragedy, affluent philanthropist Bruce Wayne transforms into the Batman, where his crusade for justice spawns unforeseen ramifications.
It's a good job. Good job. We'll just use that for episode 2 as well.
Great, cool, love that.
All right, Sly, hit us with the comic book characters for this set of
Oh
episodes.
yeah, we've got Batsy, our favorite Brucey Wayne. We got Alfred, my beloved. We got both of the Gordons doing Gordon things. We love to see it. Uh, Miss Penguin, very good. Montoya, my beloved, also. Clayface was doing some work in these episodes. Love that for him. Harvey, which I have feelings about. We got Selena, Auntie.
Mm-hmm.
We love to see her. Firebug, who made very clear what his name is. Good for him. And also Auntie Harleen, my beloved. Lots of favorites. The thing about this show is every single episode there was a character where you went, "Oh, hello,
Yeah,
hi, good to see you."
yeah. Even the name drops, even if they're in for like a split
Mhm.
second, like I'm like, oh. And there's literally a lot of my notes are like the episode be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I love this. Um, I do. I'll put our joke that I put into the Discord in here, but early into watching like episode 2 in our DC graduates channel and Discord. I'm like, damn, all these girls are thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, and they are pin up thick.
Mhm.
They are
Mhm.
double caked up on
Yeah.
a Thursday. That's how thick they are. You know, man,
They
Harley,
looked excellent. Oh,
Montoya.
especially episode 5, Harleen.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh yeah, Montoya. I mean,
Montoya killing it with all the suits. Like, damn.
oh yeah. Let's even talk about Oswalda Cobblepot. She was thick.
Yeah.
And that
She's
voice,
like, mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 100%. If like there's the multiverse crossover thing, main canon Oswald would be like, hey, what's up, dude?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he would try.
Absolutely.
He would try.
He would fail miserably, but he would try.
Pull an audible with this episode. I'm
Okay.
gonna save our Andrea Romano roundup. I'll shout her out here because she's an amazing voice director. Again, would not have modern animation if it wasn't for her. But I'll save some of my kind of big talking points that I have in the old noggin to episode 2. So you stay tuned. Love this episode.
Perfect.
Watch, like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Watch the series. Come back, and then in episode or 2 of the show, we'll talk about deep dive into like some of the golden age stuff that I want to talk about. So let's just get into the episodes proper. We'll start with episode 1. We're doing the first 5 for this episode, and the second half we'll do 6 through 10. Episode 1, In Treacherous Waters, where we are introduced to Oswalda Cobblepot. And I don't know if I heard that this was going to be a gender bent version of Penguin beforehand, and I was pleasantly
I mean,
surprised.
I wasn't paying attention to anything, but it was certainly a shock, a pleasant
Yeah.
surprise. But yeah, no, she fucking killed it. Her voice, her like animation, like we were talking about Marvel earlier, and I have so many shows where I talk about Marvel things. But one of my favorite things about Marvel, read derogatory, that we talked a lot about during What If, is that they do not know how to animate women existing, walking, moving, breathing, hair,
No.
fighting, none of it. It's all awful. But she looked great. She was moving great. She was singing great. It was a time and a half.
Yeah, shout out to Minnie Driver who played Oswalda Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. And Jesus, man, like they actually let her use her singing voice. I literally forgot
Mhm.
that Minnie Driver can sing. And she has like multiple albums and stuff like that until she started. And I was like, oh my God. I got goosebumps like hearing her sing. And it's funny because we, in Batman Sub-Zero, we talked about it a little bit. And then further on in I can't think of it. Mystery of the Batwoman. We talked about how cool the Iceberg Lounge was, and we got to see a new version of it, kind of like a showboat
A
as
fucking
like
yacht?
It's a yacht outside of Gotham Harbor, and it was so fucking cool to see. And I was like, wow, man, and like again, the Iceberg Lounge still fucking cool. And like the fact that you gotta take your own boat out there, like that's how rich you gotta be. You gotta take your own motherfucking boat out there. Alfred's out here, like, oh, please have fun. He's, oh, you think that's a joke? Yeah, I do. I love it. And we still get
Yeah.
across the
It was great.
multiverse, no matter what, we get a sassy Alfred. It does not matter. I did love
Yeah,
that.
I had opinions about this Alfred.
I did too. I
Just
did.
like
It's coming together, I
right
think,
off
at the end.
bat. Yeah, right off the bat, it was just a little off-putting because it was the charm of Alfred to me is a certain level of the British like service member like stoicism with the like charming like sass and like this fatherly like nurturing personality, and that's what I think of when I think of Alfred. And this Alfred was mm, not quite what I would expect from like a buttoned up like butler to the richest man in the world, and was also not quite exactly what I expected with the sassiness. Like he was
Yeah.
kind of a little laissez-faire with everything, and it didn't really gel with me until the end.
Yeah, to me, especially when we'll talk about it more when we get to episode 5, but in this episode. But you don't there are some certain things that happen with these characters that are flipped ever so ever so much. They're skew ever so little. Like again, gender bent penguin. Um, there's something really cool we get with Harvey in the second, like the last two episodes of the show. You get switched up. Harley, like when she's Harleen, she's very
Oh yeah.
quirky and funny and all this stuff. And then when she switches to, Harlequin, she is scary. She's not funny anymore. Like,
Scary.
yeah, and
I love that for her.
there's a lot of changes they made, and they're very subtle, but they work so well. And this is one that we see, when you see Bruce's childhood in episode 5. I'll talk about it right now. We'll talk about it more in episode 5. But I had a
Hmm.
funny line where he's like, as a parent, I have woken up in the middle of the night with my child just staring at me,
Hmm.
saying something weird, and then them going fuck it off and going to
Hmm.
bed. It's always the scariest fucking thing in the universe. And to see Alfred just get up in the middle, what's going on? And to see fucking Bruce's piercing eyes, not asleep, not just being like, I'm gonna get vengeance. And I was
I'm
like,
gonna murder
it's
him.
3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. What the fuck is wrong with you? And like, that's the Alfred this is why
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
Alfred's a little like, do whatever you need to do. Just get the fuck out of here. Like, stop being weird. And then it starts coming together. Obviously, we get kind of more of a classic thing at the very end of the series. But it'd be interesting what we see in season 2, if we get one. No, we are getting
Yeah,
season 2. There's
I
confirmation of
believe
that.
so. Yeah.
Um,
I also was a little off put by the Harvey Dent we get in the first like 8 episodes of the show,
yeah,
and they like I get going like you have so many characters to establish. They establish a new like character deeply like every episode, but I think the charm of Harvey is he is the good guy. He is fighting the
yeah,
good fight, and this guy was just a straight up villain from like episode 1. I was like,
yes,
and I think the disconnect for me is how is this like Bruce's best friend? Like how are they so tight? And I guess that's more Lucius in this series. Like he's really playing that role. But this is just where I once again uh venerate the incredible Misha Collins as Harvey Dent because he did such a good job. I love him so much.
listen, we love Misha here. We, big Supernatural fan, love Castiel. I gotta watch. You say how much you love Gotham Knights. Eventually, I will have to watch it. I will have. I will
Gotta
do it.
watch it.
I will do it. And I also have to finish I do want to finish off the rest of the Arrowverse, despite how good or bad that is.
Mm,
I do want to do
we should do that together. I need to finish it off too.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not. We're not filming that. We're not. This is
We're not.
animated
No, that's
strictly.
not content. Yeah.
No, this is just. This is fun. Watching the Arrowverse, like making ourselves do it. That's not gonna be fun. There's gonna be bright points. Not gonna be fun though.
Mhm.
Uh, but this episode, one of my first notes that I put here, and I am growing up. I had a lot of reruns of like TV shows. I think we mentioned it with the Batman Harley episode. I
Mhm.
grew up with a lot of reruns of 66 Batman, and as well around that time, I forget what channel it was. They would show Green Hornet and a lot of very like pulpy action, old school stuff, just the reruns. And I grew up with the Fleischer Superman cartoons, which are beautifully animated, beautiful animated series, but very very golden age stuff. And like the eyes are like kind of that old school, just like he looks closed all the time.
Mhm.
And this, I know a lot of people, you see Bruce Timm's name. Initially, I think it was supposed to be Kevin Conroy. Unfortunately, the GOAT passed away, so he
Mhm.
couldn't reprise a role in this. And there is new actors in these roles. When you see Tim's name, right, Bruce Timm's name, you automatically think the animated series, right, the '90s
Mhm.
animated series. But this is not. This is like if the '90s
It's
animated
not.
series had a baby with the Golden Age comic books and the Fleischer cartoons, and this is like a beautiful cacophony of like a modern retelling of Golden Age stuff, and it works.
Mhm.
I don't think you would think
Yeah.
like watching something that's Golden Age, we're talking about 40s, 50s, would work
Yeah.
so well in this medium, but it does. It really does.
It really does.
And I think
Yeah.
it's the level of detail that we get, right? As long as you treat the characters with some sort of respect. Of course, you're gonna switch some stuff up, right?
Mhm.
We each have issues
Yeah.
with characters. Like you have issues with Harvey, I have issues with Bullock. We're gonna talk about that.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
But as long as you treat some sort of respect to what the base concept of the character is, I think that's where you succeed, no matter what. Maybe it's not the
Mhm.
best movie, but you're like, hey, again, Henry
Yeah.
Cavill is a good Superman. He is
Mhm.
not good material. He's given. Brendan Routh
Mhm.
is an incredible Superman, not given good material. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
Superman Returns. Um, I love Christopher Reeve to death, but like that's Silver Age. That's not my kind of Superman. He does an
Mhm.
amazing job. You know, that's what you get here. You get like a Batman that's actually taking care of little subtle things. Like he never uses his Bruce Wayne voice in everyday life. He's
Mhm.
always in his Batman voice. Even when
Mhm.
talking to Alfred, he's always like, "Hi, I'm Batman," and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then when he's
And
talking
like
to Harvey, he's like, "Hi, hey, I'm Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne."
yeah, that switch is so distinctive. Like
Yeah,
in his life, his real life, he is Batman. And then the minute he's around other people, it's like Brucey Wayne, which I
yeah.
have feelings about. But and we get to see that here, especially with the Iceberg Lounge. We also get to see how fucking autistic this man is. He's so autistic. He
Thank
literally
you.
repeats a script twice in a row. Like,
Thank you, because it wasn't until I lived with someone that has autism,
mhm,
and then we were watching it
mhm,
together. Like I
mhm.
I, I was hanging out with him, and I knew he was gonna start watching stuff because we watched My Adventures of Superman, and he always puts the computer down when I watch this. He's like, "Oh no, Carlos watches good shit." So I saw him watch, and I just saw the head peek up, and I saw he was watching it, and then that line happened, and I put it in our drama class. But he's like, oh, how a party's not a real party until someone goes overboard. And Barbara's like, that's fucking weird, and just walks away. And then he looks and finds another group of girls. He's like, it's not a party until someone goes overboard. And I was like, you scripted it. You scripted that. Like, you're autistic. You are solely autistic coded. Like that. It's like
Like,
Batman really is.
I don't think that's coding at that point. I think that's textual.
Yeah.
That was so explicit, and I loved it. I ate that shit up.
There's that his interactions with Catwoman, like which I also put in drama
Oh my
class.
god, yeah.
He is
Mhm.
very autistic
Mhm.
coded. Like he's very like,
Mhm.
and it's funny because like I love that if you have autism, you can see yourself in a character like Batman in these situations, right? Because a lot of people script, a lot of people don't know how to have connections with some people. Sometimes they connect with them in different ways.
Mhm. A lot of people have different relationships with
Yeah,
different people depending on their like context in which you meet them. Also very, Batman coded.
exactly. So you see all of this, and when she's like, you're no fun, he's like, no, I'm not. Like it's so matter of fact.
Me too.
Like it almost sounds like he's being a dick, but I don't know if he is. I think he'd just be like, no, I'm really not. Like I don't
No,
understand.
that's just his truth, and he's living it, and I love that for him.
Like, can you imagine this Batman meeting like MCU's Drax?
My god, that would be so funny.
It'd be great. Someone on AO3 do that. That's
I'll
like,
find it. I'll see
yeah,
if I can.
that's like an autistic person's dream, right? Like that, because that's like
Mm-hmm.
representation to the
Yeah,
max, right? Them two.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you
Oh
get
man.
that, and it's always played up as like, oh, it's just a mission. It's just a mission. It's just a mission. But like, I feel if you have autism, you can see yourself in this character. Like so many other people can see other aspects of Batman in themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're queer, you can see like Kevin Conroy's depiction, previous iterations, especially when you hear interviews and like, well, how did you come up with like playing Batman and Bruce? He's like, so well.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, I'm gay. I used to hide myself. That's what Batman's doing. He's hiding Bruce. Like Batman's the real person. Bruce is like what he puts in front of people and be like, hey, everybody, you know, look at me, I'm normal. You know what normal is. That's
Yeah, they're
really cool.
totally normal rich boy, playboy, millionaire, like living my life.
Yeah, it's playing. I'm just horsing around with Harvey Dent over here. Don't worry about that. Why are your shirts off? Mm.
Mm. 6 feet apart because they're not gay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's we're introduced to so many characters in this. Obviously, again, Penguin, Alfred,
Mm-hmm.
Harvey is our, and you get like a hint that he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a douchebag, and not acting like a douchebag, but like he's very moral. Like he's just a douchebag, And it's kind of hard to
Mhm.
wrap your head around that, right? Like we have this notion of Harvey Dent, right, who's this very valiant man who we see a downfall of, and it's so sad to see him.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah,
It's like
and
this
this is like
tragic act. Yeah.
maybe Thorne's not wrong.
This
Maybe
is
you
like
you
he
got what you
got what
deserved.
yeah, he got it coming to him. I think one thing we can agree on though, characterization wise, is both of the Gordons are perfect and they can
Oh,
do no wrong, and I love them so dearly.
perfectly cast. Both of them are perfectly cast. They did such an amazing job, and they're so great in this series at what they do. You know, and their strengths, their weaknesses, and stuff. Their jokes with Batman, I love that.
Their relationship with each other, like the
Oh
way
yeah.
they interact is just so it's so good. It's
And when they
perfect. All
call
of
each
it.
other on their shit too, right? When like Gordon, like James is
Yeah.
like, "Hey, why are you being a public defender doing all this shit? Like, you can't save everyone." And when Barbara's like, the episode in the second half of the series season,
Mm,
where he's like, "Hey, you can't just be a cop. Like, we have to try to protect you because look around. Like, this person lives 10 feet from us. Like, she helped me, you know, when you were at work. Like, this other person lives across the street. Look at that little boy's bike." And he's like, "All right, yeah, we got to get out of here. We got to protect the people. It's not me, it's the people around me." Um,
mhm.
I did love their interactions. I did love their fighting. You get little quippies, things right here in the Iceberg Lounge as well about, you know, like, I can't, I hate being here too, but it's a police benefit. I can't leave. And then early on in this series, especially episode 1, we are introduced to the concept of these villains don't fuck around.
Oh yeah.
And Oswalda kills her son. Her
Straight
actual,
up
yeah, just
murder.
murders her
Or
son.
yeah,
And
on a
Paul
whim.
by Paul Shear. Amazing casting. Also, the shrimp and cocktail sauce actually pretty decent. I was kind of hungry at 11 o'clock at night. I was like, kind of want some shrimp. But what a great way to set the stakes of this series from jump to be like, no, this penguin don't fuck around. Like, she's gonna kill
Mhm.
people. Like that's just what she does. Like, she is that mob boss. She's that dude. Not dude. Again, I'm thinking of like Oswald because I'm so used to
Is
it.
that bitch?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she is
love
that
that for
bitch.
her.
Yeah, you don't fuck with her, and she's willing to kill her own flesh and blood, something that she birthed into the world, and she's like, "I'll take this motherfucker out too to get what I want." Like,
I
wow,
put you in this world, I can take you out of it. Literally.
literally.
Yeah, no, she was incredible, and I really love starting with a villain that we know is ruthless and really committing to that and setting like the stakes of the universe. Like you can have Batman properties where because of like Batman's like no kill policy and quote unquote and like stuff, you can have shows where it's just like, well, he's fighting this guy, but nobody's like actually gonna like die, like it's fine, there's like
Hmm.
not all of these stakes, and to instantly set it up with, I was gonna say fratricide, but that's the wrong side. uh I don't know, a mom nerfing her kids, both of them basically, at least attempting to, and then blowing up like the GCPD headquarters. Like, damn. All right, okay, just
Yeah,
launch a nuke into the city. It's fine.
she's like
All right, cool, great.
A tier bad guy
Hmm.
from jump, and
Yeah,
she's not willing to
it's
hide. You know, like Rupert, like Thorne, constantly the whole season, like, is hiding in the shadows, right, doing his dirty
in the
business.
shadows, in the background, manipulating on the.
Yeah,
He's like the
normal.
puppet
Yeah,
master.
normal mob shit, right? Kind of just like,
Yeah.
like, we know it's Thorn, but we can't do shit about it.
Mhm.
No, like, Cobblepot's like, nah, it's me. I'll fucking do it
Mhm.
again. I don't give a fuck. And then she's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I guess when she gets caught, she even looks at Bruce is like, yeah, I guess we're both gonna have a rough day. And then she looks around and she's like, oh, this motherfucker's gone. Like, it's just me going to jail. And she gave Bruce some of the a fight. She did. Like,
Mhm.
this Cobblepot's
Yeah.
a little more like hands on.
Capable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I want. It's funny because we're getting like a Colin Farrell live action. Like, what's this penguin like? And which very fascinating character in Matt Reeves, world. And the
Shout
Batman.
out to the Batman 2004 Penguin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another capable one. But
Good one.
you get this, and I was like, I want to know what's up with this penguin. Like, this penguin has some kind of history. Like,
Yeah.
also, who married this penguin? Like, she chose a mate. It wasn't the
I
other
don't
way
think she's
around.
married. Hot take.
Oh, you think like she just like was like, I want a baby. You come over here right now. Like, oh yes, ma'am.
I think she was like, I want a baby. You're suitable. I guess we're gonna make this happen. And then she had a baby.
Like she puts
Good
herself
for her.
down a level to
Mhm.
procreate, and then it was like, all right,
Mhm.
get out of my face.
Good.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have this baby. I just wanted to be a
You
mom.
served your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably killed the dad so he wouldn't have any parental claim, right? As you
Yeah.
do.
That's probably that one body in Gotham Harbor. Well, you see the bat sub. There's so many
Mhm.
bodies,
Mhm.
and I wrote that. I was like, damn, how many
Too many
bodies are
bodies.
in Gotham Harbor?
Too many.
Yeah,
Or not enough, depending on how you look at it.
true. To kind of end cap episode one specifically of the Cape Crusader, we talked about the characterization of Harvey and how like rough it is, and seeing like he's just an asshole. Bullock being on the take
Mm-hmm.
was so disappointing for me. And like I know we're gonna cover in season 2, year 1, and Bullock in the book at least, is on the take in the very beginning, but then becomes very altruistic, and then there's very much that what we know of Bullock, right? Very valiant,
Mm-hmm.
very altruistic, a great fucking detective, a good man. This Bullock is not good from jump, and it hurt to watch that. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like, and part of me is like, oh, you can name him after any other character. Like, there's that detective, that corrupt detective we
Mm-hmm.
got in '89 Batman with Michael Keaton. Like, why don't you just name him after him? He kind of looks like him. He looks like that fat piece of
Mm-hmm.
shit. I was like, why don't you just do that? And then I was like, no, because like this is a different universe, and they want to change it up, right? You see
Mm-hmm.
Flash, and you automatically, especially if you read year one, when we both watched the movie, we haven't talked about it yet. But in that movie, Flash is in it. So
Mm-hmm.
automatically in your head, corrupt. I know Flash is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That's always how it is. It doesn't change. But then to see Bullock, I was like, it took me like a good 3 episodes to finally come around to their vision of Bullock. And it
Mm-hmm.
was still even when we got to episode 10, I was like, man, I just love Bullock as a character so much. And it's just so sad to see this characterization. Like, it's good. That's how good it is that it's good that you did
Mm-hmm.
it, but I'm still sad because I love my Bullock to be
Yeah.
just an idiot, person wise an idiot, detective wise a genius, and just a good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Bullock is such an interesting character. I really enjoyed how he was portrayed in this. I
Mhm.
thought him and Flask made a really interesting team
Yeah.
for season one,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And to see their dynamic and to see like how Bullock is reacting to things, I think he makes such a good like corrupt cop at the beginning, but you need that twist, right? And I
Hmm.
was thinking about it earlier as I was reading through your notes, and I was thinking about like the beauty of Bullock is he is a good character that it's easy to hate. Like he's so easy to root against because he's often on the opposing side of
Hmm.
Batman. He's a great cop. He's a great detective. He keeps getting like he just is down on his luck. He keeps missing out by Bruce doing Bruce things and being a billionaire. And you know that kind of sucks, right? And so often you do kind of feel antagonistic towards Bullock, and to set him up as being a dirty cop working with Flask, who is notoriously um on the wrong side, right? To see that, I think the way I envision how the rest of this character arc goes, I think they can do something really powerful with it. However, they have not set that up at all. There's
Mm-mm.
no groundwork there. They just made him straight up dirty. And I can understand why that would be super disappointing.
Yeah,
The Bullock I have in my brain from the series is a great character. We'll see if he ever exists in real life.
that's true. And then like we're left in a predicament at the end of this season with Bullock and Flash, which makes sense. Like it is a good like closure to what they were this season. They're constantly a thorn. Not no pun intended because they happen to work for Rupert Thorne, but like they are constantly a
That's a
thorn
good one.
in the side of Batman, the GCPD itself, just Gotham in general. and they are just so corrupt and so bad. And even when people try to put them against each other, like Harvey does later in the season,
Mhm.
it doesn't work. Like
Mhm.
that's how good of a team they are. That they're like, nah, you're not gonna play psychiatrist with us and kind of fuck with us this way. No, don't do. That's not gonna work. Like
There was that one moment of doubt
they
on
thought about
Bullock's
it,
face,
yeah.
and
Bullock looked.
that gave me hope.
Same with me. I was like, oh man, Bullock's gonna come back, and then it's like he's gonna be the Bullock that we know and love, and it was like,
Mhm.
nah, he's
Nah,
not.
we'll
I was
see.
like, that's
Hopefully,
interesting
hopefully someday.
commitment. Yeah. Who knows, man? He's going to Blackgate, right? You would assume, hopefully. But that,
Hopefully.
yeah, that's episode one. Episode two, just talking about that. It's titled "And Be a
Yeah,
Villain,"
my girl.
and a few notes I'll just quickly go through here on here, and we'll
Mhm.
expand more. I put okay, Montoya. Oh, Montoya is thicker than a
Mhm.
bowl of oatmeal, and
Mhm.
and then another Montoya thing. I love we are barely getting Batman in this episode. I love that Montoya is the focus,
Yes.
and the fact that it's
She
written
was
by
the star of the show.
Oh, absolutely. Like this was her episode. And Batman literally just happened to be there because Clayface needed a physical fight. Like Montoya was like, I
Yeah.
could I could probably take him, but I'm just a normal person that happens to be a cop. This dude actually hits like a brick shit house. You should probably take him. You take him. I'll save the damsel in distress. And the fact that it's written by Greg Rucka, who Montoya was a character in the animated series, very in the background. They expanded on her in the comic books. Greg Rucka has a GCPD like comic book series that expands on her. She becomes a question in certain iterations of the universe. I think she is currently right now. She is an amazing character, and she's so well done by Michelle Bonilla in this. And this episode specifically just sets her up so great as
Mhm.
Montoya, setting up this like having this like detective. It truly is like a detective episode because we're seeing her do the police work. We're seeing her go figure out who's killing
Working through
people.
it, finding
Yeah.
the clues, like
Yeah.
talking to people. She's incredible in this episode. She's written incredibly well, and I love that they're really playing into like the like time period of when they're setting this and playing around with like the tropes of the genre. I love that we have like
Mm-hmm.
this like silver screen starlit or whatever, and the like drama between the casts and
Mm-hmm.
using that to set up Clayface is brilliant. I absolutely adored this episode. And I had trouble getting into the show. Like it was pretty slow going for me, but still all of these opening episodes hit. Like I don't know what wasn't clicking, but they were all fantastic. Like I genuinely
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed every single one of them. And just like having Montoya set up so well and having like basically her own episode to do her thing. And like we'll see later that, she's not really taken serious by like the old boys club and like she still struggles, but
Yeah, it's just
she's
literally
like
just
fighting the
Gordon.
good fight with
Yeah.
Gordon.
Like
Yeah,
Gordon's
it's
like the only one
her
like,
and
nah, she's
Gordon
fucking
against the
good, dude.
world. Yeah. Mhm. But yeah, she was brilliant, and I had such a blast with this whole episode.
Yeah, all her stuff just is amazing, and then you add in, like you mentioned, the Silver Screen Scarlet stuff, right? Basil Carlo basically being like a Lon Chaney stand-in, right? But like, who has this
Mhm.
forlorn love and he wants to change stuff. Shout out to the Shadow, like he basically looked like the Shadow, which is an old pulpy like action thing from around the 40s and 50s as well. There's also a horrible Adam Baldwin movie within it. In it. I had action figures for it. I liked it. I
All
think
right.
as a kid, I
Mhm.
have not revisited, nor will I want to. We have like an
So valid.
Errol Flynn like sword fight scene between Batman and Clayface. That was fucking cool.
That slapped. Yeah, that was so cool.
But there were so many like shout outs to like old cinema, name drops of actual like old actresses that weren't unfortunately that famous. But if you knew that like you knew films of that time, you knew of them. There's a lot of cool stuff here, and like this noir version of Clayface, where they kept some of like the meta humanness right of him. He had the pliable skin, and he was a little stronger, and it's like Batman's real first, like, oh shit, it's not just
Mhm.
normal people I'm fighting. Like I'm starting to fight weirdos. Like weird fucking things
Yeah.
are starting to happen in Gotham. And he's not really like, he's not clicking. Like I think
Not
there's,
connecting the dots quite yet, but yeah.
yeah, like there's a cause
The
and effect.
freaks are
You're the
starting to
cause.
come out. You're
This is
the
the effect.
Yeah, I
But
love
damn
that.
good episode.
Um,
It's funny for me, at least note wise. I didn't have too much because I was just so enamored by the episode. I was just watching it. And I was like in awe. I'm like, wow, this is so good.
I have 3 notes, maybe 2 notes. I think my 3 notes for this episode were the credits are incredible,
Mhm.
Clayface with like 3 E's, and then the quote, "Not to be a prima donna, but faster would be good here." And that was it. That's it.
It was great.
Yeah, not this episode, but while we're talking about like the time period and like
Mhm.
playing into like the tropes of the genre, I screamed every single time they used the car phone or when
Oh
Alfred like used
yeah.
the like physical like
And his fake
um
voice, his face like telemarketer voice at the end of
yeah,
the season, like,
so
hold
good.
on 1 minute.
His little dispatcher voice, yeah.
I was
So
like,
good.
that's the Royal Academy of Music and Theater that he went to. That's that show. He's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
I get to do
Mhm.
my acting muscles today. I don't get to flex them often.
That's his Shakespeare degree at work. Love that for
Exactly.
him.
But yeah, it was a damn good episode and a damn really
Mhm.
good like introduction to Montoya in this universe. And I was hoping that we didn't just get Montoya as a one off, and Montoya's constantly a player throughout the rest of the season,
Mhm.
and really well done. Moving on to episode 3, Kiss of the Catwoman. Um Man, from jump, this was great. Like I love this portrayal of Selena. My first note was, damn,
Yeah.
Selena and Bruce, get a fucking room.
Yeah, this episode was so horny. Like not like explicitly like indirectly horny, but like low key horny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then also playing up some of the modern iteration of Catwoman, being an heiress. That's something more recent that we
Mhm.
found out in post, I think, DC Rebirth, that we found out that she
Mhm.
is an heiress. Like she is part of this like mob family, but like was discarded and all this other stuff. So to kind of have that, Greta was very funny. The antithesis of Alfred.
Greta. I love Greta so much.
Oh my god, it was so great. And then I had a note here. I was like, I wonder if like Greta and Alfred meet for like coffee or tea every Wednesday. Like I
Mhm.
feel like they would, just to
They
complain
should.
about like their
Yeah,
others.
absolutely. Mhm.
My god. And
Yeah.
then I had a note here too, because while Bruce is schmoozing it with Selena, and I think they're actually weirdly enough having a actual connection to a certain degree. Like he is very like masking and very like scripted in this point, but at the same time he's starting to loosen
Oh
up a
yeah.
bit around Selena. The reporter starts talking shit about Martha and Thomas Wayne. He's like, who even wears pearls and goes down a crime alley? And I put here, well,
Uh-huh.
goddamn, Bruce, he said, keep my mom's name out your fucking mouth. Sock the fuck out of this guy. He hit the shit out this dude, as
Absolutely.
he should. As he
As he
should.
should. That's one of those moments of like Sig, like that mask, like shatter a little bit, and it's
Mm,
done in such the best way. I love that, and I love that it's like this kind of like linchpin moment of like him and Selena's like relationship getting a little bit closer, them enjoying each other a little bit more. I love that the theme throughout this episode was Bruce is like, I know what you're doing, and you kind of need to knock it off. Because I do kind of have a duty here to, my city. So, like,
I'm also doing
if
some
you
other
could
shit. Like,
chill,
can you not
please.
do this? Can
Yeah,
you please?
I have some other things to take care of.
Like, you're just
But
getting in
it's
my way at this point.
fine. I guess. Just a little
Yeah.
bit.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. And then I loved, because of this is where our introduction as well too. We get a lot of comic book characters specifically in this episode. So we're introduced to Dr. Harleen Quinzel, who is like psychiatrist to the rich. She's private. She doesn't work in Arkham in this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, has like a
Yeah.
lot of like nepo babies, in her
Hmm.
pocket that we'll find out later on. In what's it, episode 5, we find out like she has a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
famous people in her take. But has a court mandated therapist, and that's Harleen.
Because of punching the aforementioned
Yes.
reporter,
And I
as he should.
love that she tries to from jump. She's like, "Let's talk about your
Yeah.
parents, right?
Let's talk
Like
about
this
your
is."
parents.
And he's just
Instantly.
like, "Nah, nah." I was
Nah.
like, "I'm good. I'm totally fine." And I wrote this here because again, I'm watching it with my wife's cousin Glenn, and he goes, "I was like, shout out to Glenn, who said you are actively gaslighting yourself, Bruce." And I was like, you know
Yeah.
what?
Oh yeah,
Bruce, it
he
really
is.
is. He's like, nah, we're good. We're good.
But we're good. There's
I'm
nothing to
fine.
work through. I have no trauma. What are you talking about? Normal people put on bat suits and beat up people in alleys. That's
Yeah.
completely reasonable reaction to my life.
I don't fight the mentally
I
ill.
just
I don't do that.
no, I'm not fighting
Mhm.
myself. What are you talking about? I do love so dearly with this episode establishing and then a like common reoccurring theme throughout the series is all of the girlies are besties and they could
Love it.
so easily be like antagonistic towards each other or like pitted against each other for like people's attentions or whatever, but not, they're just all good friends. They're hanging out, they're getting brunches together,
Oh yeah.
they're enjoying life. Like I
Ag-
just I love when women.
th-
I love that they're all friends and they're, commiserating and enjoying
I
life together.
I want a like special episode in season 2, or if we get like a season 3 of this, that's just dedicated to the Gotham City Sirens, but like this version of it, right? Like getting
Yeah.
Catwoman, Harley, and maybe
Yeah.
Montoya, get something where they have to work together for some reason, right? And
Mhm.
like and Barbara, like, oh my god, just get those four together, like like this version's like Gotham City Sirens, and I'm like, it would hit so hard. And
Would be
also,
so
we haven't
good.
mentioned this. Christina Ricci does an amazing job as Selena in this. She does such
Oh
a
yeah.
great job. I love that she's broke. I love that she's flat out broke. I love that the cat bills are way too much that she has to start stealing shit.
There's like 20 cats, but can't
Hmm.
afford dinner. It's fine.
And they skirt in this episode specifically. They skirt the campiness. They ever so slightly touch it. Right, you get the Catmobile. That is a very
Yeah.
campy thing, right? But you get the Catmobile, and it works in this series, and
And
you
I
don't think it
love that
would.
it's like a direct ripoff of she
Oh,
sees the Batmobile and goes like, "Damn, I could have a nice car like
I
that."
want that, but purple and a cat.
Yeah.
And this is something I call. I don't know if you caught. I don't know if you've seen Michael Keaton's Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer. Have you seen that?
Forever ago.
Okay. The theme Selena has as Catwoman is the same theme. I've not seen it anywhere listed. Like I've looked in trivia, like
Uh-huh.
IMDb, and I was waiting to see, like, to confirm. I'm like, no, I know for a fact that is her theme. That's Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman theme from Batman Returns, recycled for her in this, and it works
Love that.
so well. It works so well every time she's Catwoman, and she's so funny. She's so well done, and I like that she nepo babies herself into supervillain status in this world. But
Right.
now she's like established, right? We have a Catwoman that's established. She's in Blackgate at the end of this episode. Shit happens, but there's so many like little things that are hinted at this, right?
Mhm.
We get Harleen for the first time. We get a who becomes a recurring character, but not a superhero counterpart. Eel O'Brien. Now, do you know who Eel O'Brien is?
Which one was that?
He is the photographer that kept like kind of being like shiesty, like,
Oh,
"Hey, I took a
that
photo. You
dude.
can pay me money. I'll send it to you,
Yeah.
whatever." He in the comics will turn into Plastic Man.
That's
So
right.
also voiced
Yeah.
by Tom Kenny. Great job. I was like, man, we got to get Plastic Man in one season. Like one of these seasons, he's got to turn into Plastic Man at some point. Uh, and then one of my last last things is when Selena is fighting Bruce toward the end of the episode, and just straight up comes up with a panther. Like at some point, she kidnapped a panther, and I wrote
Mhm.
this, and she's never gonna hear this, and she's dead asleep right now. I'm looking at my wife. I'm looking at you, Tara. This is some shit you would do. You would just steal a panther. I wouldn't know about it. I would walk in this goddamn house, and somehow my kids would just be like laying on it, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And she's like, "What the fuck do you think it is?" And just walk away. Like I know my life.
That sounds about right. I absolutely cackled when I was reading through your notes, and you just wrote, "Only a white woman would steal a panther." Looking at you,
Yeah, 100%. Because I know her. I know her.
like,
Like
yeah, yeah,
it,
I could see that.
if I can't like do like my bare minimum husband duties, be like, no, we can't take this animal in. This place would be
Mhm.
overrun. Like I'm surprised there's not
Yeah,
cats jumping. Like now that I'm in like a very communal space for my setup, I'm surprised there's not cats like jumping at me at this point. Everyone's asleep for some goddamn reason, which is nice. But yeah, that this place is
it's
overrun by
late.
animals. But the cats are crazy. I hear him. I hear
So
him.
crazy.
I hear him meowing. So he's somewhere. At least the kid. But yeah, that was my notes for specifically episode 3. Anything to expand
It
on
was
before we
great.
move on?
No, I just wrote Auntie Selena, my beloved, and then all caps, Dr. Quinzel.
I loved like the less notes I had. I felt like I loved the episode more. Or like whatever they did in that episode, if I had a lot of notes, was because like everything every 2 seconds I'm like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. But like the less notes, I'm like, man, I'm just vibing with this show. And that this was one of those episodes where I was like, let's like this episode. I love Catwoman in this. It's really starting to
I
gel the
like that
series.
you take enough notes that I can then remember what actually happened in the episodes because my notes are literally useless. Like my entire notes for episode 4 question mark. I'm pretty sure it's just Firebug. That's the only thing I wrote. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
the next bullet point is for the 5th episode.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it.
All right, good to
That's
know.
episode 4.
That's it. That's all I got.
And that kicks us off into episode 4, Night of the Hunters. Uh this was a fun one. So we get set up with the Batman task force initially from jump, of course, because Jim loves Montoya and she's a damn good cop, puts her in the head of it. And they, to her credit, does a really good job trying to coerce Batman out,
That's
right?
her best.
But these cops are Batman can see through all the bullshit and cannot. He just doesn't care. I love the one. My favorite part. Again, I'm watching it with Glenn. We're sitting there watching it, and it's just the one cop on the radio talking to the other cop, and the cop that's supposed to be like bugging her. It's just like taking practice swings on her stomach, just like pretending like meh, meh,
Yeah.
meh.
I love the like decoy 1, decoy 2, decoy 3. Like,
It,
could you be any more obvious?
like, of course you guys are cops. You smell like cops. Like Jesus Christ, you guys are really bad at this. But there was a few things. So we introduced to Jim Corrigan, who is another comic books character, becomes the Spectre, one of the first Spectre in DC Comics, and then it's Hal Jordan, which let's not talk about that.
Not talking
No,
about that.
I'd rather not. But yeah, that was my first note. I was like, oh my god, the Spectre. Like that was like, are we gonna go weird with this? Like, are we gonna go supernatural? We didn't, with him at least. There are some other characters that I was like, oh shit. Not too much. There was a couple things that obviously we haven't spoken about it on content, but Batman Year One has a very famous scene where Batman's fighting a bunch of cops in a burning building in the Narrows, basically, or the East End, and this has that basically. Firebug, who
Yeah.
constantly gets
It was very
yeah,
reminiscent.
yeah, it was very. He's like, oh, he's fighting cops in a burning building. Where have I seen this before? And then I love that the Flash and Bullock just constantly shit on Firebug. I want to keep calling Firefly because they literally keep calling him Firefly.
Yeah, literally, your notes keep calling him Firefly too. I'm
I
calling you
did.
out.
I did name him myself. I was like,
Yeah. I thought it was really fun that they were like, let's find the weirdo in the drunk tank. Basically, kidnapped him. That's not how that works.
nope.
And basically was like, go for it, have fun. Like,
And he has
let's
such
lure
a
out the Batman.
cool suit.
He looks fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Where did this man come up with this suit? Is my question. Who made that suit for
Yeah,
him?
because
We know he's not sewing that shit.
you don't get a lot of backstory
It
from
was
him.
custom.
Yeah, that had to be
Yeah.
custom. And then one of my other favorite things, and it's something we always hear about Firebug, who was a Golden Age character, or Firefly, which is a more modern character, having this obsession with arson and fire and how he perceives the world. And to see it this time around when he puts the
Through his
goggles on and seeing the
eyes. Oh
children
my
on
god.
fire
Yeah.
and the buildings are on fire and
And the
everything is.
energies and the way he perceives the
Hmm.
world. Yeah, it was fascinating.
And he's like in awe and in like this like weirdly religious bliss when he sees
Hmm.
fire, and it was like, wow, way to show like his mental illness in such an interesting fashion.
Hmm.
I commend the episode for that, because I was like, wow, I've never
Yeah.
seen. They always talk about how like mentally ill he is and how he perceives the world, and to see it for the first time. I don't
Yeah.
even think a
To
comic
literally
book.
like step into his shoes and like be able to put yourself in that like visual imagery that is his like reality. That's how he exists in the world. And like he's just driven to make the world match what he sees,
Yeah.
which is so powerful and so moving. And I love cops manipulating people's mental illnesses for their own gain.
Yeah.
Totally not relatable or realistic at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I don't even I just quickly mention, I don't think it's ever been even showcased like this in comic books. At least to my knowledge. Like I don't think we've
Not
ever
that
got
I've
like a
read.
Firefly
Yeah.
or Firebug thing where you see how he sees the world, and it was a really cool take. Um the episode does end with Flash and Bullet kind of getting the shooting fire. I put Firefly, but Firebug, and
Hmm.
becoming like the
Yeah.
heroes of Gotham, and like, oh look, they stopped this fire, this tenement fire, and all this other stuff, and they saved all these
The
people,
front
even though.
page while Gordon literally risks hiding hair to save the children that are
Hmm.
trapped there because of their actions. It's fine.
Yeah, and it was so sad almost too as well. It kind of reminded. This is not a great movie to talk about, but Halloween Kills, where they unfortunately all as a town murdered this one poor mentally ill man who's not Michael Myers, but for some reason they were like, oh, it's been like 50 years since we've seen him. He probably looks like that. Kill him. I'm like, what? No, that's not what you do.
Hmm.
That's not. He just dies sad. I'm like, oh, poor Firebug.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then my last note here: liquor in cartoons always looks so good.
Yeah, it
It really
does.
does. So it made me
Hmm.
want to drink whiskey, and I'm like, it's too late. It is midnight, and it's a Sunday, and that's not a good idea. I have work the next day. Moving on to the end of the first half of this, and then we'll do our typical drama class. Do I have quiz time for this? You know what? While I'm checking that real quick, we do have quiz time for episode 2.
It's fine. We can do a combined. But yeah, no, episode 5, the
Yeah,
stress of
episode 2.
her regard.
What?
We
Yeah,
get to see, oh my god,
yeah,
Harleen, my beloved, in her element, doing her thing. She's acquired a mansion, which I guess was like a former client of hers. She's manipulated into being like her butler person. I don't know. I
yeah.
wasn't really
Hastings, right?
following.
I believe it's Hastings. It's this
Sounds
guy you
right.
randomly see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first note was what the kink, because you see
Mm-hmm.
she puts this guy in a baby outfit, right? And she's like, "Do
Yeah,
you want
and shows
pudding?"
them in the yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a choice. Your next bullet point, I vehemently disagree with. I thought there needed to be more eye fucking throughout this episode.
Yeah, I feel like Bruce Tim, has obviously we talked about how horny he is,
Horny
but
motherfucker.
yeah, but has come
Yeah.
around to like now we have modern interpretations of Harley where we know she's queer for a fact,
Oh yeah.
and so he played into it, and the writing staff definitely played into it. So at first that was my first. I'm like, damn, stop by fucking Montoya Harley, and I'm like in my head I'm like, I don't know if they'll go that route. They do. They straight up go that
Straight
route.
up date.
Yeah,
It's
they
so
date.
fucking
They.
cute.
Oh my
I
god, it's
squeal,
adorable.
screaming, kicking my feet. So cute. It doesn't work out too well for either of them, but it's fine.
And this Harley, as I mentioned, earlier in the episode, like she is a flip, right? So Harleen is very bubbly, very fun, very caring, very like the Harley Quinn that we talk about, right? And Harlequin is very stoic and scary, and you don't see that facade really drop much unless she's around Montoya
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the episode. That's when it drops. But when she's around Montoya, like it almost feels like her true self, right? Like she's very bubbly, but she knows for
Mm-hmm.
a fact she's like, I want you. I'm not gonna hide any of this.
And
I'm a
she's taking it seriously. Yeah.
yeah. Like she truly
She's
like
letting her freak
likes
flag fly a
Montoya.
little bit, you know?
Yeah. She also just happens to be a
She
villain.
cares so deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love getting to see, like, this character was developed to be, the companion to Joker. Like, that was her entire purpose at
Mhm.
her origin. And to see how much she's grown from that and all the different types of Harleys we get to see in different iterations, like the Harleen comic that is by that one guy you really like,
Oh yes.
um, and like the recent like TV shows we've gotten to see with her, and then yeah, like her embracing or like her writers embracing her inherent queerness, and to see like what a Harley can be without the Joker at all involved in her
Yeah.
origin, in her story so far, and for her to be fully independent and going the full Harlequin route. And it was just delicious. I ate it up. I thought it was so brilliant.
Yeah, and she has like a perfectly right, you know, set of goals, right? She's obviously a villain, but
Hmm.
she's like trying to say like basically damn the man, like damn these rich motherfuckers who just take like she's hearing all these horrible shit from these clients and she's like, no, I'm gonna make
Hmm.
you pay for this shit. Like you're physically and literally gonna pay for this. Like I'm gonna make
Hmm.
you work and like fix yourself because like you're wrong, you're bad. And she just goes about it her own way, but she has like a set of goals. She accomplishes it well. Yeah, there's no Joker to be found in her origin at all. There's no Vata acid. There's nothing. There's no Ace chemical. She's just.
Hmm.
You could maybe say there's some hints that her previous teachers obviously is it's hinted at very much, but it's in plain sight. Dr. Jonathan Crane. So maybe that might play
Hmm.
into it somewhat if we get to a season 2, season 3
Yeah.
and they introduce Scarecrow, but at the same
So
time
good.
it's more probably well probably if we get any version of that, it's probably going to be Crane being like, "Hey man, the world's corrupt and like you like almost like a worldview kind of
You could
thing.
do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Hmm.
like you're smart and you could do all this other shit. Like you could probably help the world in your own way." And
Um,
her being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just be this villain." And she eats it up, man.
hmm.
She chews up the scenery. Jamie Chung
So
does
good.
such an amazing
Yeah.
job. And it's funny, again, being like a 90s kid and growing up with like Real World and Road Rules. I don't know if you know this, but Jamie Chung was a contestant in Road Rules, I believe. Or she might have been in Real World.
Hmm.
And then she just got into acting later on. Like once,
Good for her. She was
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, she's definitely come up like little by little. She's in that god awful Dragon Ball movie I'd never want to talk about as Chi Chi. God for that's not her fault. It is a horrible movie. She's in some stuff and she's like in The Hangover and some stuff like that, and she has been doing good. But like, she's such a standout in this as Harley, um, both in and out of costume. That she's up there with like Arlene Sorkin, and she's up there with Tara Strong and Melissa Rauch, who we spoke about before, and Kaylee Cuoco. I was like, oh my god, I was like Penny, Kaylee Cuoco, and Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've gotten a bad again depiction of Hartley. Like, we might not like some, obviously,
Recently, yeah.
yeah, a lot of her backstory unfortunately does involve the Joker, and that's very problematic and is a disservice now to the point where we got Harley as a character. But when you get her written correctly, like the person who's portraying her does a phenomenal job. And Jamie
Yeah.
absolutely killed it in this episode. Like she was absolutely great in the previous episodes as well as Harley. And that phone call at the end when she calls Montoya and we're like, all right,
Broke
now we
my
know Harley's
fucking
alive.
heart.
And it's like, hey, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
skip out on, and I was like so
Hmm.
fucking sad. And I was so heartbroken, but at the same time, I was like, yay, this awesome villain's alive still, right? Like we get to see her
Yeah.
again.
I loved the way they did that, where like she fell off the cliff and we do not see the body, and you know what that means
Hmm.
coming back. But for the only like a hint we get that she's back is that, you know, phone call to the phone booth outside where they were supposed to meet, and her being like,
Mm.
I'm skipping town, like when I get back we should like get together or whatever. Oh,
Uh,
ripped my heart out of my chest.
oh man, that was so great. And then I did love I put Montoya and Harley are really cute together. That date's adorable. Her kissing her and not just like Montoya seems so nervous like when she's like in like a human mode,
Hmm.
right? Like when she's a detective, she's so
Yeah,
stoic and awesome at that job. But like she,
confident and knows
yeah,
what she's doing.
and Harley just constantly
It's a little
puts her on her
awkward.
heels, and she's like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And it's not played off like, oh, it's almost like in this universe, obviously, it's okay to be gay, which is nice,
Hmm.
something that
Yeah,
wasn't
we
okay in the
love that.
50s. Yeah, not okay in the 50s in real life, but in this fictionalized Gotham, perfectly fine. There's just other shit you got to deal with. And that's not what holds her up in her job. That's not, she just happens to be a woman. And, Flash and Bullock are like, oh, you're a dame. Who cares? And Gordon's like, she's the best fucking copier. She's better than me. Y'all better stop.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but that's
one
it. And
thing
like,
you
yeah, go ahead.
oh, you can finish your thought. I was gonna go on a complete tangent.
Oh no, I was gonna say like her being queer does not like throw her off her game job wise or anything like
Mhm.
that. It's just
Yeah.
she is just awkward in a relationship standpoint. But Harley takes her hand basically and is like, no, 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 like I got this. This is a date. I'm gonna kiss you. I'm into you. And she's like, oh, I'm into you too. And like it starts going that way. It's really nice to see. But go ahead with your this tangent. I know it's gonna be funny.
Yeah, you had a note about Arkham being nice, and it is. And like, can we just talk about like, damn, like Blackgate and Arkham, like before they like are run to shit. Like, A,
Hmm.
how much is Bruce investing in these spaces? B, like how well does infrastructure work before the weirdos show up? Like,
Yeah,
and C, what do we think the future of these locations is gonna be in this universe?
specifically with the character we see at the end of this season, like the tease
Yeah,
that we get, I was
correct.
like, shit's about to change completely for Gotham, like because
Mhm.
of this one character. It is nice though. It's like pristine white. There's
Mhm.
some issues with some of the, obviously some of the inmates. I don't want to say inmates, the mentally ill that we get, and I'm so used to like the anime series and the comic books calling them inmates, right, in the asylum. But in this,
Well,
like,
it is a prison.
that's true.
There's no rehabilitation going on in any of the iterations of this
Very
location.
fair. It does seem like there would be in this one, but even Harvey's like,
Theoretically.
I don't want to be here. like, like
Yeah.
fair, yeah, fair. Um, but it's white. It's so pristine and nice, and the staff seems pretty on board and kind of okay-ish. But like, even they're like, I don't want to be here. So I don't know if that speaks to like what we thought mental health was in the 40s and 50s and what they did, like lobotomies and
Mhm.
shock therapy and things like that. I don't know if that's playing a factor into this time frame of what we got in the Batman Crave Crusader, but it does seem nice. It does look nice. Surprisingly, I'm
Mhm.
used to like the very gothic, scary looking.
Grimy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it looks like the floors haven't been mopped in like years. And like normal
Mhm.
Arkham, this one looks like no, yeah, Brad just did it like two hours ago. Like don't step there, you guys. He's got to wax this part.
What floor? Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
but yeah.
squeaky waxed floors. Love that for them.
Yeah. The final thing I did want to put on here before we moved on to drama class was, do you think it's embarrassing for Batman to fight someone in a diaper? Because he
I
has to fight that guy.
don't think he does have to fight that guy. I don't think uh Bruce Wayne as a human has any conceptual like perception of how the world interacts with him as Batman. He's just like raw duty, honor, justice. And he's fighting whoever's throwing punches at him, right? So like big man in a diaper acting like a kid, I don't think it phases him.
Nope.
I honestly don't think like the thing about Batman is he pays such close attention to the nitty-gritty details and has absolutely zero scope of the bigger picture.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
has zero emotional intelligence, can never tell you what's going on with any of his children at all. And they're so obvious about everything going on in their lives. And he just won't clock any of it, which yeah, kind of relatable. I think he's more concerned about the fighting style than the clothing or lack thereof on this man.
Yeah, fair. Very fair. Very fair. All right, so that takes us, now that we got through the first half of Cape Crusader, that takes us to drama class, one of, again, my favorite segments in DC Graduates, which is a holdover from MC University. I've picked three episodes that I grabbed quotes from. We're going to start with episode 1. I mentioned it earlier, so I'll do it, which is Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
And then if you want to do Oswaldo's line,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll start with Bruce. As after he initially hides himself from Oswaldo as she's murdering her son, and he swims back on shore and looks at Barbara and says, "Guess it's not a yacht party until someone falls overboard." And she's like, "That's weird." Walks away, and then he sees a group of young ladies come to him, and then continues with his script, his autistic script, and says, "Guess it's not a yacht party until someone falls overboard." And then they laugh, and he gets the desired effect that he wanted from this. That really stuck out
And
to
then
me.
Oswald is just like, well, I'll be damned, Virginia. There really is a Batman.
Love it. Love it. Man, that talk about characters again that chewed up scenery because Harley does such a great job, but like we only get her for one episode, but man, she just chews it up. The mini driver Cobblepot is just chef's kiss. She's wonderful.
Honestly, I get why they went with Thorn. But I think it would have been really interesting to see more Oswaldo.
Yeah, I hope she comes back for season 2. I hope we get something like
Hmm.
some kind of more of her because she was a great villain
I
for
want
one
her
episode.
and Sionis. Wouldn't
Ooh.
that be an interesting interaction?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Any version
I think
too.
they're both just unhinged enough
Yeah.
that they would hate each other, but they would interact so well.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Next quote is a little scene we're pulling from episode 3. Um do you want to be Batman or Catwoman?
I'll be the autistic man this time.
Okay.
He's
this
also so autistic in this episode.
this one as well, very very much so in this one. All right. So this is after a little bit of their tussle. Catwoman, you know, you're really no fun at all.
No. No, I'm not.
So great.
Me
And she,
neither, buddy.
yeah,
Same. Relatable. I laughed so hard at that line because I was like, yeah, that's how I would respond to that too.
like correct, correct.
Correct. Yeah, no notes.
And then finally we have this incredible line and incredible delivery from Harley Quinn and when she's speaking to Emerson Collins in episode 5. I will give you the task of being Harley in this because it's an incredible line, and I'll be Emerson. This is kidnapping. I'll have your head on a spike for this.
The tables have turned, Mr. Collins. The kings don't run this court anymore. The jester does.
Yeah. Amazing. God damn, she killed it. Ah, so
Yeah.
good. So good. So typically with our show, obviously that's the end of drama class. It was very well done. Very great quote to end on too. That's a great line from Harley. Um Closing thoughts on like the first half.
Hmm.
What are you thinking?
I wasn't hooked, even
Mhm.
watching the first half. I really enjoyed it. I thought all of the women were excellent, which
Mhm.
is a rarity, but they served them really well. I thought they pulled really interesting villains. I loved that we didn't even touch Joker,
Yeah.
and didn't even hint at it until like last second or whatever. Um, I love that they really like you could tell that every single person in that writers room understood what the universe was and how the rules worked and what was um acceptable and unacceptable to each character from their perspective, and they really played into that. And I think we got really interesting take of what does justice mean and what does serving a city mean to each individual person,
Hmm.
and how does that manifest in a way that's perceived as good or bad.
Correct. Yeah. I for me, I first episode I thought was really good. Again, I love Cobblepot. But it
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't until close to the end of the second episode I'm like, oh wow, like we're not just doing Batman, 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 Batman. Like we have a whole Batman's barely in this episode and he's only here to just fight the bad guy at the end. Montoya is really the hero of the story, and what a great depiction of Montoya. And then to
Mm-hmm.
move on, and then we start building with Catwoman, and you get almost too campy episode, but it just skirts the line ever so slightly, and it just makes it fun. And you start building on the Harley and setting her up to then get the payoff of episode 5. Like I think it started building, 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 but the back half I think was a little stronger, especially because it was very subtle, but through these 5 episodes we really didn't touch upon it. They are building Harvey as his mayoral campaign is going on.
Yeah.
It's not as interesting in the first half. It doesn't till the second half where he
No,
starts taking bribes and
I
stuff like that,
really
where it
want to
starts heating up.
revisit it now because I
Hmm.
think what would have been the hook throughout the first half of the season is the Harvey like C plot of all of these
Hmm.
episodes. Him like announcing his run for mayor, all of the actions he's doing to get himself up in the polls. But because I was just so turned off on the characterization of this Harvey, it just didn't hit for me. And I think it'd be interesting to revisit through that lens, like specifically looking at how Harvey really ties all of these episodes together.
Hmm. Yeah, because he's constantly in every episode, and he interacts with the A and
Mm-hmm.
B plot like very concisely. But like it really is into the back half where you start building up to his, his
Mm-hmm.
downfall, where it starts to get interesting. He's not just a background character anyway. He
Mm-hmm.
starts making his way more into the A and B plot. It started becoming more about him. But like episode 3, they really hint at it a lot. That like he's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Harvey's doing this, and Batman's like, I don't give a shit. Like I get fighting this fucking jewel thief. Like he's always like, fuck it, who cares about Harvey, Harvey, Harvey? Who the fuck cares? And then next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, that's a problem now, isn't it? Yep, that's on me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So typically we will do quiz time, but I'm gonna say that for the back half because it's gonna kind of helps with everything going on, and there's a specific question for the back half there. So homeroom, we did that. Homework now would be watch episodes 6 through 10. Again, it's on Prime. You can actually stream this legally. You don't have to find some shady website. If you have an ad blocker, I'm not saying if you do, if you don't. I'm just saying if you do, maybe there's no Prime ads.
It's an option.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not vouching for it. I'm just saying. Who knows? But till next time, we'll see you, students.